in my little thing before, I brought up how the Jets definitely surpassed them as a laughing stock. Let's get to them now because they fired Adam Gase. As a Jets fan, we were basically throwing a parade when this happened, but it is depressing to realize we wasted another, this was supposed to be the new era. The Sam Darnold era is likely coming to an end. But Adam Gase is fired after 2 seasons, right? They win 9 games in those 2 seasons. There's a ton to unpack with that. But Joe Douglas, he's had enough. If you remember, he's not the guy who hired Adam Gase. Adam Gase actually hired him, which is a strange dynamic because what team builds their franchise with quarterback, then head coach, then GM, no winning ones. It's always the opposite direction there. But Joe Douglas fired Adam Gase. Christopher Johnson, who is the acting owner for now, said that Joe Douglas is going to have complete control and the final say over the new head coach, which is interesting because that's not been the way in the past. But Adam Gase is gone. What was your reaction to hearing the news, Nick?
It should have happened long ago, in my opinion. I think a lot of people agree with that. I guess at this point, you wanted to finish the season out. I think it was no news before the Week 17 game for the Jets that he was going to get the boot. But yeah, there's no reason that guy should be there any longer. I think he overstayed his welcome, really. He is supposed to be some offensive mind, and the Jets offense was just disgusting. It was terrible. It was just, I don't even know. I think terrible is an understatement. And again, the Jets were riddled with a lot of issues too. Darnold seems, I don't know, he's in a whole nother puzzle to solve, but he seems like he couldn't stay on the field for a full season. I mean, Joe Flacco didn't play terribly, but you got Frank Gore running as their number one back, really, as a 37-year-old. And then, of course, some receivers get hurt, but injuries, you gotta adjust. And, I mean, I'm surprised they won 2 games, frankly, because they were that bad this season. I don't think the Jets were as bad as they played through a lot of games. Maybe they were, though. But it's on Gase. It's really on Adam Gase because you had 2 years. The first year, it's just like you could bring it back to what we just talked about with coaching. You have 1 year, you suck. Okay, that's fine. Prove me wrong that you're not that bad. It was a hoax that first bad year, right? Prove me wrong. And they were 7-9, the Jets last year. Darnold got hurt as well. So you had these things that maybe, okay, Gase, now we're back. Show us what you got. And the same issue happened again, just worse. Just so much worse. I wouldn't have predicted the Jets go 2-13 this year. I thought they might have gone 500. But again, you have a lot of these issues, and really a lot of it was Gase at the top calling plays. I think he actually stopped calling plays. More than I do.
Pop picked it up. Yeah, it was
right.
It was all over the place.
So that goes to show that you shouldn't be a head coach. And I also talked about as well. I think Gase had no spirit, really, no energy on the sideline, in the locker room. Really, he didn't seem like a coach who could kind of build the culture and a guy that the team would follow. And that's really the issue at the end of the day. He wasn't a great coach, and he wasn't a great locker room guy. So if you're not going to have at least one of those things somewhat hunkered down, sorry, you don't deserve the job. And I think he should have been fired halfway through the season, maybe even earlier.
Right. There's this Jets blog out there. Jets fans will know what I'm talking about. It's Jets X Factor, and they just released an article about the 5 defining stats from the Gase tenure, which was 2 years. And there were 3 of them I thought perfectly summed up what went down during the Adam Gase tenure. So the first one is through 8 games both years, they had a combined 1-15 record. Their only win was week 5 of last season against the Cowboys. Other than that, they lost every single game. And as you talked about last year, they started 1-7. They win 6 of 8 to end the year. And there was a mirage. They end the year strong. Is this a sign of things to go? It was fool's gold. If you look into those games, they played terrible teams, and they still almost lost to these teams. They were also the first team last year in NFL history to lose to 2 0-7 teams or worse. The crazy thing is that isn't even one of my stats to say. That's just another thing that they did wrong. They also, in his tenure, they had a negative 297-point differential, which is the worst in the league in that stretch. So they were you talked about no spirit, and it is something to say how the guys did try till the end this year. But if they're not trying in the first half and your season's already over, what good does it do?
Exactly.
So they were getting embarrassed these last 2 years. I can't tell you how many blowouts I watched. And there's a reason, even though we went 7-9, the games we lost just felt so exhausting last year, right? And so the last stat that I have is, the average NFL team loses by 9+ points around 24% of the time. In Adam Gase's tenure, they were more than double that at 53%. So
Wow.
that's more than half your games getting blown out. And if you ask any Jets fan, it is more than that 53%. I don't care what the numbers say. It's only not 53% because maybe they score a garbage time
Yeah.
touchdown or a field goal late in the game to cut it to a 10-point game. But just more than not, they were getting blown out. They were getting embarrassed. Gase couldn't innovate. He couldn't capitalize. This year, I think they led the league in first scoring drives, right? So their first drive, they scored more than any team in the league. And then after that, they just wouldn't score until halftime. They wouldn't score the rest of the game in some games. And it just got exhausting for Jets fans. The writing was on the wall around week 5 this year. And then I think, as you said, you said he should have been fired then. At that point, the season was a wash. You may as well keep him and try to lose as many games as possible because he'll do a great job of helping you lose. He couldn't lose right because they won those 2 games at the end of the year to play out of the #1 pick. But the Adam Gase tenure in New York was an utter failure. Mike McCagnon, it was really the last move he made as head coach was one that didn't work out like many of his moves. And so Joe Douglas now, we gave him a 6-year deal to be the GM of this team. This is an exciting time for Jets fans in that perspective because he does offer a lot of promise, Joe Douglas. He had a good draft class. He says the right things. He's highly respected. And now he's going to get the chance to choose his head coach. And it should be noted that he did say the new coach, they're not looking offense or defense. They're looking for a culture guy. And I think that's the perfect fit because when you look at what this team did bad, it was the culture. You didn't have guys playing hard. You didn't have people fighting for the head coach. And that's what needs to change. You need to bring in a guy who's going to inspire others. Joe Judge, as you said, he might not be the most talented head coach. He's not an offensive guru or anything like that, but he inspired his guys. And that's what the Jets are going to strive to do. But it is good to know that Adam Gase is gone. Those were the 2 longest years of my life as Jet fans. I dreaded every single Sunday, Monday, and Thursday that they had to play with him as their head coach.
Yeah, and I almost wonder too, with the culture idea, I think you take a page out of another New York team that's been in the gutter with the Knicks. Knicks hire Tom Thibodeau. That's a culture guy. Instantly, and we'll talk more about that later. But Jets got to go right in that same direction. Who? I'm not sure because there are so many options out there. And knowing the Jets so far, they may make a bad decision, but we'll see soon. It'll be exciting for you as a Jet fan, and hopefully, I hope you guys get someone good. New York team's got to stick together. So.